Here. We're going to be going over a full race night with driver check-in. We're going to be doing the transponder integration, the Westhold transponder integration. We're going to do schedule and classes, points and payout schemes, and online registration. So we got a, excuse me, a pretty full docket. So let's get started. I'm going to go a little bit out of order on that list, and we're going to start with schedule and classes. So this is the dashboard to the test racetrack that we have here at MyRacePass. Yours will be the same when you log into mrpadmin.com. I might have a little bit different classes than you. So we're going to go to start into season management. I have some of this already set up, but essentially when you go to season management, if this is your first time going for the year, you'll click up here to the top and you'll hit new season. That'll create your 2019 season. This is one of the newest changes that we've done from this year to the last is the season management. Essentially, we're going to be housing all of our schedules for our year in this, and we're going to have a couple other things as part of the season as well. For me, right now, I already have my schedules added in. So I can see my upcoming events and my recent events right here, as well as my pending yearly registrations. So I can see all of that available here. When I go to the config right here, I am able to see my series right here. I can add in different series that are going to be racing at my track. A series is going to be like a traveling show. So we'll add a series. We can see the ones that I've used in the past. I'm also able to search for a new one right here. Every series should have a class associated with it. So in this case, my test series has the class Sport Compact. So for me to race it, I have to have Sport Compacts in the list, and I do right here. And I'll show you how to link up a series to a specific event. Linking them up like that allows us to share the lineups and the results and the entry list to both networks without us having to do it twice. So that's a really nice thing to do. I've also added in all of my classes. When I click add classes here, I'm able to see the ones that I've used in the past. So I can see I have those here. I'm also able to, I can see my sanctioned classes right here. So if you are sanctioned, you can use that. Or you can add in, by all classes right here. So if I wanted to see all the micro sprints, you could do that here. You also have your managed classes. This is going to be familiar to anybody that's used this from last year, but we can put in our name overrides here, which I've done here. Try not to use a name override to completely change a class from one class to another. So if you have my Sport Compact here, don't change it to, a boat. We don't want to do that. It can get kind of confusing for everybody there. Once I have my series and my classes, then I can go into my events. Events right here, this is where our schedules are going to be. We can actually have events on more than one schedule, which is what's happening here. This is my schedule that I have for specials. So I've put all my specials in here so they don't affect any of my point averages. I've also edited it so that it's not visible to the public. This is my main one right here. You can do that by clicking add schedule. You have as many schedules as you want. That's going to be how points are accumulated, are going to be to the schedule. So when I did that, when I apply points, it's going to keep the points onto this schedule as opposed to this one. But I'll show you here. When we get to points, I actually have today's event listed in two different schedules at the same time, so you can see what applying those points would do. But let's add an event here. So if you can see my track, we're pretty busy. To add an event, we're just going to add an event right here. We can see that our calendar is going to appear. And if I wanted to add in a couple of events, we just choose those. The grayed ones in this case are events that are already on my schedule. So we'll hit next. We're just going to add that to add our classes in. We're going to add in a catchy name to the event. So if I would highly recommend you do that. Having a better name helps out with a lot of things. Makes it a little bit more eye-catching. Otherwise, you're going to see that this is one of the default names, 2/6 of 2019 event. It's not very eye-catching. So try to get in a different name. We like to say that every event is special, is a special event. So try to vary those up there. You also put in open times, so when the pit's open, when the gate's open, hot laps, and racing. We're going to put in our classes. We're going to hit add next. It's going to add those to the schedule. And then if we need to, let's say I added that one by mistake. I didn't mean to add this. I just hit discard. It's going to get rid of that for me. Now to link up say we have this event here. We're going to link up our series with it. So I picked that Sport Compact class. That's who's going to be racing. We're going to add a series. And now it's linked up to that series. So we can do that. We can also manage other things inside this event. So we can add online tickets. We can add more information. Online tickets is a great thing. It's one of the rewards that we have for this year. So if you hit different rewards that we have for the system for apparel and online tickets and for the Transponder Integration, MRP Live, you actually get $50 for each one of those goals. If you hit all three, we'll throw in an additional $100, and so you can get $250 off for the year. So that's something. We're also able to change it. We can make this event rained out from here. We can copy it completely. So if we like how this is set up, we could copy that event. We're also able to, on the schedule screen, edit it and go to the race management or rain it out from here, the event status. If you have any questions about that or any other questions, Alt and H will be the spot to do that. You can ask questions about anything I'm going over or anything you'd like me to go over. It is your time to ask away. And it doesn't even have to be about anything I'm going over right now. I will be answering all questions towards the end. So I will keep track and answer those questions for you there. So we're going to go back up here. Going to go to registrations. So I have a couple of different registrations on this screen. I have one here for yearly registration. Essentially with this, my drivers can register for the entire year. They'll show up on my driver list, and their information will go into the contact list right here. This contact list will keep track of their addresses and things like that. So it's a great way to keep track of that driver information. I also have a single event registration in here. That's also really nice. It puts those drivers into that event list for drivers. It doesn't add them to every single event, so it doesn't add them to your driver list for the year. The idea for a special event registration is that you'll have drivers from out of town who won't normally be there every single week. But you can add more registrations. We have the yearly, the annual. We also have a general registration if you have something that you'd like to gather information about, but isn't necessarily about racing. You see our drivers right here. Can go here. This is the form that they'd fill out for online registration. So we'll be capturing that. I have Google autofill on, so it's actually just keeping track, but it'll do that. I also can share to my social media pages right from here. And we can see we have some pending drivers. So let's take a look. So with that, when we finish this entry right here, we're just going to double check their information, see that everything is good. We can put in a transponder number for them. Let's assign a number. So this one I filled out on my own, but other ones you'll just double check and match them up. So if I did that, we can add in our competitor. We can do it manually, but we also can see when a driver confirms them here. So I've just matched them up to a driver that's in the system. We can do quite a bit with this. So like I said, it will put them into the contact list for us. It will also be exportable, so we can export this. So we can either get all of our confirmed drivers or how we filtered it. We can also get all of our rookies in there as well. So really neat thing you have access to. We also have this form here a lot of folks like. So you can view this form and they can fill out their tax information. Some people double side print this with other kind of insurance forms or things like that the track would need. All right. The last thing I'm going to show you before we get into the race is our points schemes right here. So inside of settings, we have our point schemes. So you can see I have quite a few. I've actually created different points and pay schemes that are available. Different reasons. I'm going to get rid of one just for fun. But we can add in a point scheme. We have a few different point schemes. These are the global preset point schemes. So these are how certain sanctions would do it, which I actually have all of them added in at one place or another. But if I wanted to add in a brand new one, let's call this Bike Night. It's going to ask if I want to copy over any of my points and pay schemes from the past, so I could save some time. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to add in a breakdown. It'll work the same for points and pay. So let's add in a new point scheme. So I want to go to 20 spots. Let's make first place 100 points. We'll decrease our points by 2 every position. So I'll make that for the A feature. And when I add rows, it's going to add 20 rows, and it's going to go each one down by 2 points. I'm not locked into this. If I don't want to be, I can always edit this. So this can be that. We can always kind of adjust it. Put that the right way, though. And we can just keep making these breakdowns for different things. So if I wanted a heat breakdown, we want 10 points for the winner. Decrease them by 1. Put it for a heat. We can do that. You also see this button right here. It says that race. So if I clicked that, any driver would receive that would go to the A feature wouldn't receive these points if I had it this checked. So only the first non-qualifier would receive this full set of points. You see that a lot with the B feature. I have a question here for setting up heats with different points. Can you be a little bit more specific as to, do you mean that you have different classes with heats with different points, or you want the same class to have different heats have different points? So we can set up our points and pay here. We also have start points, so we can have, this would be to every driver that takes a green flag. This would be to every driver that doesn't. So if they just have a really bad night and don't actually complete a single lap, you can have this right here. Points and pay. We also can make it toggleable, so if you're in the A feature, you don't get show up points, things like that. So that would be points and pay. Like I said, pay is going to be very similar to this. I separate all of mine out so that I can be a little bit more flexible with the points and pay, but you can actually have yours combined if you'd like as well. That is no problem. Also in here, we do have lineup point schemes, and if you do passing points, let me know. I can see if we can do passing points for you if you'd like to see that. right here. So we can set that up. Won't do it though unless you go to Alt and H and chat in with the question. So just saying. So if you do want to see that, let me know. So I've got a couple questions about points. So let's do that. With multiple B mains and transferring X amount of cars, will the points and pay calculate the transfers with 0 pay and 0 points in the B? So depending on how you have the B feature set up, so let's go back to Bike Night. So let's make Bike Night here, and I'll show you what I meant with that thing here. So let's do 20, and we'll decrease the points by 1. So these are all made up numbers. But if I hit this right here, this button right here for the B feature, so all the B features are going to be equal. So each B feature, if you have 3 or 100 B features, it won't matter. Everybody that right now that does not transfer out of that B feature will get 20. When I have this selected, this first place isn't for first place, but for the first non-qualifier. I sometimes call them the first loser. So the first person that misses their transfer will be first here, and everybody else will get the points on back when I have this button selected. If I don't have this button selected, then you get more. So just make sure you have that button clicked and you're good to go there. So we have another question here about that. Again, for heat, so same class. They have a class that if you qualify in the top 16, you'll be in heats 1 and 2. Everyone else after that. So with that, you're gonna have to do, if you want heats 1 and 2 to get more points, that wouldn't be a great way to do that to where you give them bonus points. But if you have the top 16 get that, you could give points to the qualifiers. So the people who qualify in the top 16 just get those points, and everyone else gets the same points, but you just get bonus points if you qualify in the top 16. Does that make sense? You can set points for a qualifier, which sounds like what's happening here. You actually don't get more points for being in heat 1 and 2. You get more points for being in the top 16 and qualify. It's a different way of looking at it, but it would give you the same result. So I would recommend doing that is just having 16 places. So let's add one more. We can add as many breakdowns as we wanted here. So for that qualifying, let's say we have 16, and then I'm just going to do bonus points to the best 16 qualifiers. Will get my bonus points, for example. Or we could all set them so they get the same. But anybody that goes to the heat will get those if I have it set this way. That would be how I'd recommend to do that for right now. But great questions, though. You can ask as many as you want there. Alt and H spot to do that. So let's go. Now, long awaited. Yeah, we can do ASCS points. Actually, ASCS points is a global preset. Sorry, so the question was, ASCS is a point system that depends on where you start to where you finish. The point totals can be different for each position. Can we handle that? Yes, you just do that. ASCS, we have both the passing points and the main points here. So you'll actually see that. And in fact, I'm not even able to edit this. It's going to be locked in with how I do things. So I can't even change a global preset. So I would use that global preset there. So we're going to move right along into race management. If you do have more points questions, though, don't be afraid. Keep asking them. I'm going to get to all of them here when we get to the end of this call. So we'll be going here. So I've hit this race management button. That's taken me to today. I did that when I put in my schedule. And it's going to want to know what I want to do about pill draw and what I want to do about transponders. So today we're going to be doing the transponders. I have Westhold up and ready to go on the screen here. So we'll come back to that in very, very soon. And we're going to do pill draw today. So I'm just going to do a very straightforward one, unless someone has any requests. I can show different lineups here. But for now, we're going to do a straightforward sort of process where we're going to do the fast check-in process. I'll show you what the draw window would look like if you were to draw for your drivers and have them draw. But I'm just going to do the fast check-in process today just for our time. This one will let us, we'll draw automatically, and we can do that before we pick a driver. This one we just pick manually. And this one we can pick after we draw. We draw after we pick a driver. So we also can set a maximum pill up to 500 or as low as we want, and we can rebase a pill, which basically means we set a new low number for that. So if I was to set that for 50, 50 would be the best number you could draw, and 49 would be the worst. Also, when you save this here using as defaults, this will keep from week to week to week. So in general, you probably won't have to go back to this a lot, but I do like to show this off just as something you were able to do. Each class can have its own options for how it wants to handle specific things. So if we did no pill draw, no transponders for these sport compacts, it'll keep track of that. We can also save it as the default option. So if I had, for example, if my sport compact was using point average and everyone else wasn't, we would just use it that way. And keep it and save this as a default, and it'll be good to go. So let's move right on down to MRP Live. That's going to be the transponder integration that we have here. So I'm going to hit launch from web. It's going to connect because I had it open here, but I'm going to show you how we're going to get it connected. I want this to look like. So we have a couple different things we can see here, but right now what we're focused on, I copied this IP address and I put that right here. I copied this TCP IP port and put that right here. I am using Race Manager for today. I also want to make sure that this Enable Network button is clicked. That's pretty important. We do need that one clicked. And I have the assignments path selected here. So that's going to be the folder that these lineups are being picked up on. For me, I have Race Manager saved on my C drive. It might be a little bit different for you, but it's going to be, in general, the place where you have it installed. Most people, it's going to be the C drive, but it may be different. The last one that I skipped over right in the middle is the MRP Live code. It's going to be right here. This code's going to be different from week to week. It's going to be what ties it to this individual week. But when I hit launch from web, like I did right there, it copied that code over for me. So in general, you know, if you're using it from the same spot and all else being equal, in general, these won't change. And when you hit MRP Live code and launch it, it'll connect for you. And it'll give you the error. It'll let you know if you put in some of the wrong things. So if I was going to try to do this, it's going to spin for a bit and it's not going to like it. It's going to try its little hard out to connect, but it's not going to do it. It's not going to find anything at that IP address, and it'll tell me, and it's going to pop up a warning screen saying as such that, hey, we need to check the IP address. But yeah, it's going to try, and you're going to see the difference. It's like night and day. So yeah, an RM broadcast was not found with the IP address and port number to verify that is correct. So you can see what that would look like there. Oh. 7. And how much faster it goes when it connects. So you see it goes, so it's pretty quick. If you need MRP Live, one place you can download it is right here. You can also find that in the help desk right here. To connect to the scoreboard, that would probably be a little bit more on the folks with Westhold or your scoreboard support. So I wouldn't know. Based on that question, it was where to go to connect the scoreboards. I would ask them. Right now, given that there shouldn't, I think that should be there. But you also have this broadcast ticker. So if you are working with an event and they are live streaming it, someone's live streaming it, and they ask for this broadcast ticker, you can get that and they'll do that. This one right here, this scoreboard setting in the middle, or this scoreboard control. Oh, this is something I would ask the folks at, I would ask the folks at Westhold about something like that. That's more to their software. They're great folks there, though. They'll answer it. I just don't want to, comment on something. I know enough of with Westhold to be dangerous. Sort of the main thing. So I don't want to say something and then you go to them and I'm all misleading because I don't know it all that well. You understand? I just don't want to be confusing to anybody. So this is what these two are going to be the boxes that we're going to need for MRP Live. And once we have that connected, we're going to go right on down to our entry screen right down here. We have all of our classes available right here. I'm just going to work in the 410 sprint class for today, but I can switch in between them. Actually, some of my other classes in here do have people in from when I was working on this earlier today. So I have all of my drivers in from previous years and also from using online registration. And when a driver shows up, let's say he says his name is Chuck Ground, we'll find Chuck. We'll click on him, and we're going to see a couple of things about him. So for one, we have his default car number in the system. Looks like he's using 87. I had him draw right here for his number. I also put in his owner information. It looks like he did that when we registered online. So it looks like it's paying this team. And he owns a transponder. It's a 1003. It looks like that is his default option. So both of these are default. We can always change them up right here for that. We also have, click right here. We're also able to see that he is 30. We have claimed his profile. We do have his address on file, and it looks like we got that when he did online registration. And we can see his registration right here. If you are at a track that's using one of our sanctions, so we actually have sanctions that use MyRacePass. It'll also, if it is a sanctioned event, double check if they have a license or not, and it will warn you if they don't have a license. So if you're using WSOTA, if you are a WSOTA class, it will tell you straight up that it is not a WSOTA class, or not a WSOTA driver, that he does not have a license. It does have a bypass that you can do too, so you can keep the night moving. So there you are. That does get reflected to the main sanction office. So with that, we also have at the back here lineup override, so we can start at the back of all heats or start at the back of all races as well. So if we had this guy, say he was a rookie, and he just did not feel comfortable starting in the back, we can move him to the back to the heats. That's fine. Or if he showed up late, or if you just don't like him, I don't judge. It's your call. So we'll add that in here. And we could definitely just keep doing that. Adding in drivers. This filter works off first name or last name or car number. And we could just filter out all of our drivers here and add them. But we have other ways of adding in drivers. So another way that we could do that is to import from a previous event. So we could select a previous event here. And we can see all the drivers from that event. Mark them off here. We also can copy over the transponder numbers and their pill numbers. So if you have something like that where you think you selected them back for all races and it didn't keep them, email me direct. I know you do have my email, a specific date and driver combination for that, and I'll take a look and see if we can fix that if that's not working for you. It's totally fine. I know, Jerry, you asked a question here about live timing for a practice, and I will answer that here when we get a little later on. I did not miss you. So I also have the pill window right here. This would be what it would look like if you had the system draw. Ooh, there we go. That is way better than I normally do. So that's another way we could do it, is to import. We also, let's say we have a driver that we just cannot find back here. So he's just not here. We can use the search. And so we have Bruce Wayne, Gotham, Hawaii. We can add him in. This will search through the entire MyRacePass directory for that. We're looking for Clark Kent. We don't have Clark Kent in the system. So we can create a new driver for him. Some things that I would recommend for that is, when you're using the filter, be sure to search by last names first. The reason I always search by last names is to avoid John or Jonathan or Chuck or Charles. So yeah, do that. Also, make sure that even when you're doing the search by last name first. If you do find any duplicates or multiples, let me know. We are very serious about removing those. So let me know and we'll take care of them. It's not the end of the world if you do create a duplicate, but it is confusing for your drivers, and it does create a bad driver for everybody. So be happy to do that for you guys. Also, when you do create a brand new driver, it's going to ask for their hometown, and it's going to want that hometown. So put that in there, because if you put in Corey Coldcuts from Obo, South Carolina, and we did that identical, it won't let us. It will. That's another level that we have to do that. So yeah, we'll do. So don't put in fake cities. Don't try to skip that step. It is going to try to use that to make sure everything is good. So you might have noticed that every one of these drivers has a golden helmet next to their name. So the gold helmet means that they have claimed their profile. Drivers who have claimed their profile does a lot of really cool things for them. So it lets them share their news, their photos. It lets them put their schedule on there. It's actually going to get updated with the results that we put into MyRacePass automatically for them. But another really cool thing that they have is, on the MyRacePass app, they're going to have a barcode that they can use. And you can scan their phone and pull up their specific profile. I really highly recommend encouraging your drivers to do that. It is free for them to do. To get that scanned barcode, it's going to make sure that you have the correct driver every single time. And it'll go quite a bit faster. So for you there. So once they claim that, have that there. If you're looking for scanner information, I actually have here, this is the help desk. We have that barcode scanners. We have, it talks a little bit about what we've just gone over here. And we have suggested hardware. So we recommend this one. I'm going to put this into the chat. If you have asked a question, I haven't answered it. I am looking at it. I'm just going to circle back to it. But if you need that, we do have the Amazon form here. This is for that scanner. A couple different options, silver or black. That is your preference. And you can use that to scan in the driver. You might notice that some of your drivers have hard cards, especially if you are a WSOTA track, USRA track, they're assigning their drivers the hard cards. They can still claim their profile online. Those barcodes won't interfere with one another. You can use them to scan that there. Had a question about updating hometowns, and I'm going to get to that right now. So for hometowns, you can see this manage drivers. This is actually where the entry list is coming from. So I'm going to switch to just all of my drivers are real troopers, and they race every single class that I have. But if I have a driver here, let's say BJ Buffalo moves, we can actually change that up here. We have a spot where we're able to change it. But he's actually claimed his profile. All of these guys have claimed them, so it's their responsibility to do it. But they'll have a spot here where they will have a name/city change. They'll do that, or you can let me know. We can do that. But drivers who claim their profile also are able to update their own hometown. It is their spot there, and you'll be able to do that. You can see that their bio has been taken over, so we're not able to edit it. But let's add in a new driver. Just pull an audible. So if I added myself in as a driver, I'm a driver here. Or this is one actually. You see this name/city change up here. This is actually a duplicate driver. And you can actually put in this form right here. Yeah, I would recommend. Yeah, if they don't claim it, you can put in the request to change it, and we actually go through all of those requests and change them. And I would actually highly recommend that they claim their profile and update it because it gets them out of your hair. So that would be a good spot to do that. If you ever see a driver like this that has a bunch of Z's in front of their name, there's a reason for that. That is a duplicate driver. In general, if I find a duplicate driver, it takes a little bit for development to merge two profiles completely. So while they're in holding, I have put Z's in front of their name so you can't find them. If you do find somebody that has a Z, that means that they are undoubtedly a duplication somewhere. So if you scan a card and they have all Z's, just let them know. Get that taken care of for them. Okay. And the last way we have to enter in drivers is a speed entry button. And with that, as long as we don't have a duplicate car number, which I just hit right here, or a duplicate transponder number, you can just enter them in super fast. So let's do that. Okay. There we go. All these transponders are duplicated. Lucky guy, though. Drew the number one. But it'll skip that window right there. You can see that it's going to check them in there. If you have any questions about the entry list, now is the time to do that. Alt and H is the spot to do it. I'm just going to be running 10 cars today because that is going to be the transponder limit there. So they have a limit there of how many transponders I'm allowed to use. Is everyone able to hear me? Okay. I'm picking up that I have sound here. Yep. So, okay. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. I have to get my transponder numbers pretty specific here, so I got to count it out. Looks like I'm missing the 5. Okay, so. But if you have any questions, Alt and H spot to do that. We're missing 8. and we'll be answering those for you there. Okay, continuing on into the races. So the races right here, you're going to notice that you have the previous events listed. So you can copy over setups that we've done in the past. So if I had a setup that I was a particularly big fan of, or if I have 10 entries and I know I'm going to duplicate it, I could do this again. I'm going to do it manually though. So with 10 entries, we can do one heat and one A feature. I can do more than that if I wanted to. I can do features, heats, dashes, qualifying, specials, and hot laps. I can go all the way down to a Z feature if I wanted to. I can add multiple heats, multiple features, put in the laps and how many go to tech right here. So do that. And now we can do a couple things in here. So we can add in more heats. We could add in a B feature if we wanted to. We can also set the drivers to go 1, 2, or 3 per row. And we can change the name up here. But the main thing that we're going to want to do right here is we're going to change who's going to go to the next step. So for me, person going to the next step is everybody. There's only 10 cars. But if we can get pretty specific here with who's going to move. So if I had 3 and I did 4 here, that's going to give me 12 because it'll take 4, 4, and 4. If you're using passing points, this would be where that from group comes into play. So if we did 10 from group, that'll give us 10 total, 10 overall out of this whole big batch of heats. 10 per race will take 10 out of every single race. And you can get specifics. If we had a B feature, it'll ask who's going to go to the A, then the B, and then from the B to the A. So we're going to move right on through. We're going to get into our lineups. Now with our lineups, I could certainly manually just put in the drivers here, click them. You can move them around, X amount here. Certainly something we could do, but the faster way to do that would be to calculate lineups up here. The first time you calculate lineups, it's going to want you to go to this gear here. So you can always go back to this gear if your lineups change or if you need to adjust anything. But what this is all of our lineups. So this is every single A feature that I have, every single B feature, every single heat. And I've actually gone through and I've selected the ones that I'm more likely to use throughout the year. Because you can see this is every heat that we have. That's a lot of different heat lineups. So I've condensed that down to this right here. And I can select what I want to do. So let's just do heat from Pildra. So if I have this, see that it says this is checked, it'll be put into lineups and they will be visible to the public. So let's do that. Let's calculate our lineups. And now, if you have a website through MyRacePass, it'll update on the website. It'll also update the MyRacePass app. So the app, drivers and fans for free can get the entry list, they can get the lineups, they can get the results, they can get the points, all that for free right from their phones. And everything that we're doing here to just keep the race going, we don't even have to worry about updating it. It's just going to do it for us. Also, for $7.99 for the year, they're able to view the live timing that's off their phone when we have the MRP Live connected right here. So really awesome stuff that we're doing here. So with this lineup, we can see that I can click this, how is this calculated? Some of the lineups that we have that. So how is this calculated? You can see that this is where everyone is. Remember that we set Chuck Ground to go to the back automatically, no matter what. So we do have that. I can move drivers around by clicking and dragging. I can move them in between lineups. We also can share this out to Facebook and Twitter right from here. So I have a question here. If we ever create lineups for did we ever create online lineups for things that people come up with? We actually have created lineups for folks in the past. Some of our plans come with the ability to create a custom lineup. The Platinum plan comes with one custom lineup. The Partner plan comes with up to 4. There is a base cost of 100, and depending on the intricacies of what is needed for that lineup and how specialized and things, there might be additional costs. We'll work with you on that, but in general, you would, if you do need a special lineup for something, you would either need to be in the Platinum or Partner plan, and then there would be that one-time, at least $100 charge for the development that would come through that. But if you feel like you do need a lineup, let us know, and we will see if we, one, may already have it created, but just under a name that you're not expecting, or two, we can create it, get that going for you. Just let us know, and we'll get you going. That was a great question. So we're able to share this to Facebook and Twitter. We also have this lineup monitor right here. So what we could do with this, we could put this screen up connected here. And this is actually going to update for us. Every time that we put in a race in lineups mode, it's going to be put in here. Every time that it is saved with results, it moves this out of the way. So we have that here. We could replace a whiteboard in the pits or anything like that. Right there. So let's send lineups. That's going to be what we're doing for MRP Live. This is where the transponder integration is going to come into play. So we're going to send those lineups, and then right here in the assignments, we have all of the lineups that I've done earlier today, but I also have my 410 heat. We got our numbers here so we can double check everything. And then we can get into the timing. And if I go to MRP Live, this is going to show what a fan would see here. So let's start the race. And as the cars are going around the track, you're going to see that it's actually updating everything for this specific race. So I had a question about doing live timing on a practice night. So, what I would do is just have MRP Live running. And as long as this is running here, it's going to pick up all of the transponder data that's going through it. So anything that we do here, so putting in the cautions, putting in the finish, I actually put in the number of laps, so it's going to finish it for me. It's going to pick up. So that's what some folks do, is they just have MRP Live connected. They don't create lineups or anything for a practice night, but they just have it running and ready to go, and then you're able to view that right from the phone. So when we see that right here, our race is finished right here for this heat. As soon as I hit stop, that's going to be the system's cue to send that lineup to the results right here. So you can see right here we have our lineups, the latest pending race, and results rather, our lineups, and we'll click there here. We do have that. We have all of this information right here. Let's double check it real quick. So 02, 46, 87, XC, 16, all the way on back. Looks like we are good to go. And we can put if they did not finish, did not start, were disqualified, black flagged, and if you're ever using passing points, you can put in no passing points here. We also can move drivers around. So let's say Chuck Ground, his transponder actually just completely died on us. It wasn't good. So we just moved him up where he needs to be. We're also able to share this to Facebook and Twitter. So we have that here. All right. I have our results. We have some questions that came in. I have seen all of those. I do see Eddie and Steph's question about WSOTA codes. So for WSOTA code, you will need to speak with the folks at WSOTA. They're going to be handing out those codes, but there is a promo code for WSOTA. I'll catch up with some of the questions here. Occasionally, a driver will come back to the draw window and say the lineup is wrong. We'll make the correction, and the lineup will go out as corrected. The way to flag it as corrected. So I guess my question would be why the lineup would be off. There isn't a way to flag it as corrected or anything like that. You can have it so that it doesn't go out to public, but it'll just sort of update for you there. I would have, for Jerry, I would put in all of the classes in the practice, but not to show that there was a delineation or anything with. I would just show it so that you could see. So if I was a driver for any individual class, I know that it's okay for me to practice. So I would do that. Yep, I would just connect it and hit start on it, and you don't have to import the results or anything, but I would just sort of let it go, and it'll pick up whatever you're sending out there. That is correct. It'll just keep showing up on the timing. The MRP Live will show up with whatever is being put in through the transponders. So whatever is being broadcast out, it will pick up and do that. I believe it will save some of those. Let me double check. I don't believe you have to import them as results, but yep. There isn't a flag as corrected at this time, but I can always put in a request for it with the development team. So moving right along, onwards and upwards, we have our A feature here. We're just going to calculate lineups again. I'm going to do straight up based on heats and Bs. We're going to calculate that out. We also have our lineup options here. So let's say I just have Corey Coldcut since he won the heat. I have him go out here and roll a die. He hit 4, so I'm just going to invert 4. We can click that and it'll flash there. Once you see that flash, we know that we've inverted people. We also have a redraw option here, which I'll do as well. So let's say I want the top 4 to be inverted and also redraw. My track doesn't make a lot of sense, but let's just roll with it. We could have them draw here, and then we could also redraw all. If you have a lineup where it has a redraw attached with it, it will just do that. One of them that I know is the IMCA opening night will do that, and it will just pop in this for you, so you won't have to do that. But if you ever do a redraw just in general, you have that. And you also see the numbers right here of where everybody drew. You can put them in manually. I just did them all as an auto redraw because all my drivers are fictional and they don't mind. And so we're just going to repeat this process again. So we're going to send lineups. So it'll say that the lineups are sent, and we can go with our race. So we're going to right back here to our A feature. We'll do that. We're going to show off some of the other things here. So inside MRP Live, we also have a lab viewer. So you can see it's actually going to do that here. We can actually have a screen hooked up to this, same as we did the lineup monitor. Some tracks I've seen put this in the concessions actually, so that nobody ever misses a beat on anything. Also, fans can click on their favorite driver. So if I really like Chuck Ground, we can click on him. We can see more information about him, and it pins him more to the top. So that's just another option that y'all have available. So we'll set it to finish. We go into results, and we'll hit stop. So remember, stop is that cue. It's going to send it as it is right here. If you have stopped it, you don't see it right here. Let's refresh it. There they are. And here we are with our drivers. Again, we can share this out, Facebook. We also have a media format here. If we ever need to not save this as completed, so let's say we still want to wait for tech, but we imported everybody. We need to move to the next spot. We can also save this as in progress or as unofficial results and just save it so that everything's in there. But it's saved, it's ready to go. And now we can do points and pay. And based on how we set up points and pay for today, we can just do that. So we can do bike night, and let's do sprint car pay. And this is that multiple schedules I was talking about. So let's say, for whatever reason, I just don't want my points to go to the main schedule. I could put them to go to this test one here and add it. And it'll calculate based on how I have my points set up. So based on how my points and pay were set up from earlier, I did that. We can do adjustments if we need to on both points and pay. So let's say, I really just don't like this guy won. Let's take $500 off. Let's give him negative 500. Let's give this guy an extra $50. He's a real cool dude. So we could save that, and it's going to update the totals. Also, the drivers that I put in to pay the owners, it will do so. We'll pay those owners. So the live timing program, is that ran along with or without orbits? You could do with orbits. You can also do live timing through Westhold. If you actually want to see the orbits integration, then I would check in. I think we have a typo here for the 27th. The 27th, I will do orbits, show what the MyLaps would look like. It's going to be pretty similar. It's just going to have a few different steps between the two systems, but you can do it with either Westhold or orbits. So continuing on, we have our adjustments. We can also create payments from here. So we can create checks. So I have that. Let's see who we have addresses on file for. Let's do that. Let's create some checks. Put in our check number. Print those out. And those drivers that we have addresses for, it's going to do that. It's going to pull from that contact list. Also in this create payment screen, we have the ability to export this to the desktop version of QuickBooks. We also have a report here that has the check numbers and the amounts. We have other reports as well over here in the reports tab. So we can do points by race is a popular one. This goes just by that, by each race. This one's customizable. So if we didn't want the start, I don't want the points either. We just have them sign out. We can do that. All of these are exportable to PDF. We can also print all of them. And we can isolate specific races. So I just want my A features. We can do that. These are all my A's. We also have other reports here for a variety of different things. So if you need other reports, sort of the big picture reports, you can find those right here in reports. So this is going to be kind of the overview right here. All right, so I'm going to leave it open for questions now. If you do have any questions, Alt and H is the spot to do that. I believe I've gotten to pretty much everybody's questions. If you feel like I did not get to that, or if you have more, do that. So first one we got, is there a way to eliminate drivers from the end of season points? In what way would you be looking to do that? Would you just be looking to zero out their points, or I guess I'm going to need a little bit more information on what you're looking to do before I can answer that one way or the other. I am also going to put into the chat the survey. So the survey, fill that out. It helps us out a great deal. Let us know what you like, what you didn't like. If you did fill that out, you're going to be entered into a drawing that'll be happening very, very soon. $200 off for next year's subscription. So if I created a season schedule and it has specials and the points go to just IMCA and not track points, So if the points go to just IMCA, not track points, you could create a separate schedule and have it be to both. Have it be to both here, kind of like that. Or if we've already calculated the points and we want to just send them to IMCA but not have it go to my main points, we can just uncheck this here. And now the points are saved, but they're not going anywhere. They're not being applied. And I always recommend to send to IMCA this detailed points report right up at the top here. They really seem to like it. It has everything here to the nth degree. Yep, WSOTA has the option to do national points only. IMCA does not at this time. WSOTA has a bunch of cool things, so you don't have to send points out to WSOTA. They also have the abilities to check for licensing of drivers, so it knows which drivers have a license and which ones don't, and it has a lot of cool things for the folks at the main office to keep track of there. But for IMCA, you're going to have to do kind of keep track of the schedules and things, so you can do that so they don't go to the track points. But yeah, WSOTA has the national points only, and if you are a WSOTA track, this test track is not, definitely isn't. But if you are and it's sanctioned, you do have the option to have those points go only national. So we got, if they have not paid their points membership, they lose all of their season points. So you're probably going to have to adjust their points to make them lose all of that. And to do that, you can do a couple of different things. But you can go into points right here. Also, if you wanted to just start with them not receiving points, you could. So some places actually just have them when you recalculate. If you uncheck this, they don't actually receive points, but they still receive pay. You could zero it out if you wanted to, but okay, sorry, I didn't answer the question. So if we run a special event and send the points to the IMCA, I could go back in and zero that night. You could, so you could do that, or you could have them in as a separate schedule. If you have them in as a separate hidden schedule, like this one is, the points will go somewhere. Nobody will ever see them, and they're just kind of separated out. That's as easy as going into here into season management and creating a new schedule and having that be that date be on both schedules. Would be how I'd go in to fix that. You could go in and delete out or zero out the points. I wouldn't, just in case you ever need to go back on them. And we do lock events or results. You can go back in to change them up in a month. We just lock them just so that things go a little bit quicker. So after 1 month after the date has passed, you can't adjust them without asking. That's part security and part speeding things up. So yeah, there's not a real great way to make someone who hasn't paid zero out all of their points right at this time, but you could adjust them to zero out more points right here, or inside points you can request a points adjustment. So I'll show you that right up at the top. So you could put in for a adjustment, but there's I would actually just calculate the points, and when you calculate them, not put in for their points and pay that way. So basically, this is the recalculate button. So if I made a mistake and picked the wrong pay schemes, I could change it. But if I uncheck any of these guys, they won't receive points, but they'll still receive pay. Yep. If you create a second schedule with the special events, it will be getting points for only the second schedule if it's selected. So this is the second schedule, only it is getting points. And I also hid the second schedule, so nobody actually is able to see it. And you can see that. So right now, only the points are going here, and I have it not active. So it's kind of hiding. It's kind of hiding everywhere. So the points are going to it. They do exist. We can go there. We can see them. But they're not doing anything. It's inactive. So you can't It's not viewable to the public. The way that I showed you with unchecking them, they won't receive points for that event because they could always go back in and get a membership, is how some people do it. So basically, you can't get points until they either do it. So what some people do is they might go back in after a certain amount of days and give them points back, or yeah. But if you uncheck them, it will only be for that day. They won't receive points. But yeah, they just keep track of who's a member and who's not, and then if you're not a member, you just never receive points until you pay for it. Until you pay for a membership. So leaving it open for questions. Again, I'm going to post the survey again. There's a lot of questions for that. So there's that. IMCA, is it set to give 0 points if a driver has a DNS in a heat and or BNA feature? Yes. If a driver has DNS'd all of their races, they count as 0 points. And also, per IMCA, don't count as the driver as being there in the driver list. So if you have 10 drivers and a driver just does not start anything at all, it doesn't count them for having 10 drivers. It will move that to 9. For IMCA or any of the sanctions, we work closely with them to make sure that it goes based on their rule set as much as possible. But it does, and also it will do, so that's another common one for IMCA. So that's, it will do the adjustments for how many drivers are there. So if you have 8 drivers, it'll remove 2 points from everywhere as it's supposed to. When the race is finished on Westhold timing, how do you send the results back to MRP? Hit the stop button right here. So when the race has the checkered flag, once you hit stop, that's the cue that the results are going to move back into MyRacePass. And it's going to move them exactly as they are here. So once you hit stop, right here. Great questions that everybody has here. Some other resources that we have available. We also have support at myracepass.com. So that's the email for support desk. I look at pretty much every one of the emails that comes into there. So that's a good resource for you. We also have all the past webinars here and the help videos and also articles that go over everything that we have right here, season management, race management. So feel free to there. Another great resource for people is the sandbox mode. So the sandbox mode, I always say that what happens in the sandbox mode stays in the sandbox mode. So it's a lot like Las Vegas. But essentially, you can create everything I said about sharing to the public does not apply to the sandbox mode. You can go buck wild with creating everything, and it's going to be its own spot. There's only 2 things you can't really do in the sandbox mode. One, make sure that you are not putting in things that you want to keep, because we do go through and clear it out. And you also can't do transponder integration in there. So the transponders want to broadcast everything live. Sandbox mode wants to keep everything on the DL, so does not like that. But you do have that option there for any sort of additional training. If you are kind of a hands-on type, kind of like myself, use that. I've spent a lot of time in the sandbox mode doing various things. So that'd be how to do that. Yep. Make sure you are really in the sandbox mode. It has the lovely shade of blue. If it is not blue right here, it has a lot of warnings. It will say that right here. So it has that blue. Remember, powder blue, you're safe. If it has this dark color, not as safe. I'm going to be doing more of these webinars this week. This is the last week that I'm going to be doing them. So if you want to see me live, like some bands, I'm a lot better live. You can do that. I am going to be doing these tomorrow and Wednesday at 5:30. Tomorrow, if you would want to join in, we're going to be going over season management, schedule and classes, points and payout schemes, and online registrations. And then the next day, we're going to be going over full race night with driver check-in, transponder integration for Westhold, schedule and classes, points, payout schemes, and online registration. We're going to change that 27th one. We're going to make that for Orbits. And then the 28th, we're going to have a special one. That's the last one at 12:30 Central Time, the lunchtime one. That's going to be over the MyRacePass app, MRP online ticket sales, dropship apparel, and questions. So if you that'll be your last chance to ask questions in a webinar setting. Had a question if any of the webinars are WISSOTA specific. We did have a WISSOTA specific webinar. It was, you can actually find it. It was one of the past webinars in here. That would have been March the 7th. It's up on YouTube. If you'd like that, I'm actually posting that WISSOTA specific webinar right here. So the WISSOTA specific, and that has MyLabs integration in it as well. So you can view that one and go over everything too. A lot of great questions here. But yeah, and also if you go to the page, we're actually posting all of those on YouTube here. I'm a little behind, so I have my apologies there for posting them, but all of them will be available. In fact, if you go to the help videos, it actually has its own playlist. So the 2019 webinars. And if you go to the live training page that you were in before and scroll down, it actually has the past webinars and has the links to them on YouTube if you are interested in any of those specifically. So yeah, leave it open for a few more minutes if there's not any other questions. Again, be here tomorrow, the next day, and Thursday if you do have any of those questions. So it is your time to do that. I'm going to take a quick drink of water. Yeah, that'll be that. And then I'm also going to, again, one last time, cannot say enough how much I would like you guys to fill that out. This survey, you put into a drawing to get $200 off for next year's subscription. And that also works with the rewards program that we're doing. So you could potentially get $450 off next year's subscription. Hint, hint. I don't know anybody that doesn't want to save $450. So just a thought that you can do that, fill it out. But yeah, so I'm going to end it here. If you do have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us. We're always happy to help you out. Thanks again for joining in. I hope you have a great rest of the night. Thank you guys so much.